Did you know that the writer of Chainsaw Man ate his pet fish? Yeah, he says so in a collection of one-shots called 17 to 21. When I was 24, I lived with my girlfriend in a 15,000 yen apartment in Yamagata, Japan. We had a pet rice fish. One summer, I found it dead. I went to toss its body in the trash, but my girlfriend said she wanted me to bury it, so I went off to the park, alone. I tried to bury it under this big tree, but the ground was too hard, and I had no hole to show for my effort. Out of options, I figured I would pretend I had buried the fish and left it lying there on top of the ground. As I watched it for a little while, ants found the body and began trying to carry it away. I'm not sure what came over me, but in that moment, love for that pet fish welled up within me for the first time. I brushed the ants away, and then I ate it. Yes, this man, Tatsuki Fujimoto, ate his pet fish off the ground with ants crawling on it. For me, that's just what I cook for dinner. It goes without saying that this is a great look into the mind of one of the most deranged writers on the planet. You probably know this, but Chainsaw Man is insanely popular. So popular that Crunchyroll actually crashed twice because of it. In the past 3 years, it's won 15 awards alone, including Best Manga, Best Screenplay, and Best New Series. But how does Fujimoto feel about his success? I wish these people could stop barking.
In the Chainsaw Man Church, we encourage student marriages. Chainsaw Man doesn't really exist.
Doesn't he eat people? Personally, I want to see Chainsaw Man fight.
Chainsaw Man's devil powers give him supervision.
That chainsaw fellow is stealing jobs.
Suffering and struggling and getting killed.
He's too popular, I don't like it.
Returning to life and getting back up again.
That's the Chainsaw Man wedding chapel.
They should never touch any of my manga. Thank you. I've been trying to make this video for months. Translating interviews, looking at Wikipedia pages, watching other videos, reading theories on Reddit, rereading the manga. There was a lot to dig through. When I first started this video, I just wanted to go through Fujimoto's history to see how such a weird person came to be, but there's already a lot of videos like that, so let's take it a step further. First, we're gonna take a quick look at the kind of guy that Fujimoto is. Like how he ate his pet fish, his weird online activity too, including his old website, really cool stuff. He even has like alter egos on the internet, which is pretty weird. And with all that, we can kind of get an idea of the kind of person that he is. And then we'll get into the really interesting part. How is Fujimoto handling his newfound fame? He's been writing since he was a kid, and he's finally finding success. Does he like being famous? How does he feel about how his work has been interpreted by the world? The answer's probably not what you think, especially if you don't read the manga. If you're not in the know, then you're probably missing a few things. Before we start, there's going to be some spoilers for Chainsaw Man, and also I'm not a Chainsaw Man expert. You can do the actually face, I don't really care, so let's go. So let's go back to the beginning real quick. You're probably thinking, why would a grown man eat a dead fish off the ground, his pet fish? First, don't knock it till you try it. Second, I think that's just the kind of guy Fujimoto is. He said that he felt his love for the fish welling up in that moment, and he saw the ants carrying the fish away, and I think he didn't want it to be slowly picked away by those ants. I think he wanted to give it kind of an easier ending than that. He's kind of a weird guy, in case you can't tell. But maybe eating the fish was a way to show his love for it. He doesn't show his face online, which actually a lot of different manga authors do, which is pretty interesting. I'll make a video about that later. So there's no real record of his face. Except for this video. Check it out. This is my goat. This man lives rent-free in my head all hours of the day. He has his feet propped up on my amygdala like it's a lazy boy recliner. I would pay through the nose just to see what's going on in this man's brain. Kinda like how you can go to my Patreon to see what's going on in my brain. Segway, sorry. If you join my Patreon, you'll get access to behind-the-scenes breakdowns for every single video I make, and you'll get exclusive audio logs too, where I talk about stories from my life and my creative process. Like this one, where I almost drowned in Costa Rica. I was like taking on these huge waves, like 10 feet tall, and these waves would like crash over you and throw you back. Check it out. It's $5, patreon.com/sriracha. Thank you. Anyways, this levitating video is one of the few fragments of Fujimoto that's up on the internet. But while we're at it, here's a video of Fujimoto singing about his favorite foods.
好きな牛乳メグミルク好きな生クリーム
I love this man. No one can do it like him. The sauce is off the charts here. You can't step to this. Nobody can. Little videos like this are a great window into the mind of this man, the kind of things that he thinks about. But what if I told you there's an account so obscure, so secret, and it's Fujimoto role-playing. Who is he role-playing as? Great question. My name is Nagayama Koharu, and I am a 3rd grade elementary school student. I made a Twitter account in class. I like Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man. Nice to meet you. Yes, the writer of Chainsaw Man pretends to be a little girl on Twitter. It's actually meant to be his little sister, who also doesn't exist. He does not have an actual little sister. And here's the crazy part. His account actually got banned. Last week, Chainsaw Man manga editor Shihei Lin tweeted that a Twitter account under the pseudonym Koharu Nagayama had been suspended for impersonating manga creator Tatsuki Fujimoto's little sister. So once his account got banned, he actually had to make a new Twitter account to convince Twitter that he was who he says he was and to unban his old account, and he actually started posting like rare concept art for some of the characters, which was pretty cool. But he's like begging for his life on Twitter to get reinstated, which is hilarious. But good news, he got his account reinstated, everything's fine. Twitter believed him that he was just role-playing as his little sister, his fictional little sister. You know, happy ending, so great stuff there. And he still tweets over there too. But this is the juiciest, sweetest, artificial flavoring, red dye number 5 piece of the pie. NagatoIsMe. NagatoIsMe is an alias that Fujimoto used back in his high school years when he first started drawing. It's actually a full website that I'll link down below. You can go check it out. On the site, you can find early, drawings and even old comics and one-shots that he drew. This site is a gold mine. If you really want to dive into the rabbit hole of this man, there is so much juicy stuff on here, and it's a miracle that it's still online. This channel named Fukoto Fetus also has a great video on this website that I'll link down below. You can watch that too if you want. But this site is amazing to me. To me, it's the equivalent of like Stephen King having a website where he posts short stories and little drawings and stuff like that from when he was a kid. So all of that is the online chicanery of Tatsuki Fujimoto. Kind of weird, right? A little bit odd, but in a good way, in a very good way. And now the part that I'm most curious about. How does Fuji feel about his fame? I'm gonna be honest, I'm not digging through a million old tweets on his little sister account, because I'm just too lazy to do so, but actually, that was a lie. I'm not too lazy. Check out this tweet I found. Mr. Toda's drawings are so similar to my brother's that I realized that my brother doesn't need to draw anymore. Foreshadowing. Watching the anime reminds me of how hard it was for me to sleep when it was being serialized. Those are some pretty juicy tweets right there, eh? Alright, let's get back to the big man. Big man! You might have heard about the barking incident. Tatsuki Fujimoto comments on the barking phenomenon. I wish these people could stop barking, or however they call it in the West. These people are very odd. They should never touch any of my manga. Thank you. When I started this video, this was one of the main things I wanted to talk about. And I was scouring the internet for days looking for this article, looking for this. All I could find were screenshots. I tried everything. I grabbed the text from the image, I Google reverse searched it and everything. I could not find this article to save my life. Until I did. But here's the thing, I read the entire interview, I read all of it, it really wasn't that long. There wasn't anything about barking in that interview. Nothing, not a word. This screenshot's a fake. It's completely fake, it's just a meme. Look, here's the guy admitting that it was a fake. Okay, at this point, it's genuinely freaking me out, so, this post was fake. It was a joke between friends. I never expected it to gain so much traction in so little time, and I severely underestimated the gullibility of everyone here. So yeah, sorry, Fujimoto did not say this at all. I have been bamboozled. I've been smeckledorfed. I've been hoodwinked. Not cool. So that really sucks. I can't believe this whole thing was fake. That was the reason I started the video. I thought it would be interesting. But if we really want to learn how Fuji feels about his success, we have to look right under our noses. Chainsaw Man Part 2. Chainsaw Man Part 2 has been coming out for a while now, with new chapters pretty much every week for the past 3 years. and it has been a huge shift from part 1. For one thing, there's actually a brand new main character that's followed more than Chainsaw Man is in his own manga. A lot of part 2 of Chainsaw Man doesn't follow Chainsaw Man. Instead, it follows a girl named Asa Mitaka, a high school girl who shares her body with the War Devil, and the War Devil wants to kill Chainsaw Man. This change alone is pretty insane for any manga to do, or any kind of creative work. Switching up the main character is a big no-no for most of storytelling, and making it a girl is a ballsy move too. Female characters in most like shonen manga are pretty underused, and a lot of them are very like flat characters. They're really just a pair of boobs, or like they're just a damsel in distress. So having an actually deep female character that's well-rounded, it's really cool. It's interesting. It's something new, right? But irregardless, this can be a good indicator of how Fujimoto feels. He wants to do something new. He wants to try new things, write new characters. He doesn't just want to stick to Chainsaw Man. He likes to include other elements into his stories, even if it's something that people might not agree with, you know? So this is a good indicator of how he feels. One thing that's really interesting about part 2 is how Chainsaw Man himself is perceived in the story. There are a lot of different opinions on Chainsaw Man in Chainsaw Man. Some people think he's a superhero. Some people think he's a man-eating monster. Some people think he's just man-made American propaganda, which is a great take, by the way. So all of these different viewpoints on Chainsaw Man in part 2 are how Fujimoto sees people perceiving his work, not taking it seriously, maybe taking it too seriously, or like drawing the wrong conclusions from it, you know, misinterpreting. I think Fuji doesn't like seeing people misinterpret his work, which is rich because I'm interpreting it right now, but whatever. I refuse to be an scapegoat. I'm sure he's grateful to be popular and successful, but there's always going to be people that might not agree with what you're saying, or they just see your character in a different way. You can't please everybody. Fuji just wants people to listen to the song. Listen to the Song is a one-shot that Fujimoto wrote before starting part 2 of Chainsaw Man, and I think it's the most obvious look into how Fuji feels about his success. In the story, a high school boy writes a love song for the girl he likes at school. He sends it to her as a video on YouTube, and she actually sends it to everyone else in the school, and it kind of goes viral from there. So it's seen worldwide, this thing that he only intended for the girl, right? And then it gets weird. People start kind of getting the wrong conclusions from his song. They say like, oh, there's a cat that runs in the background at this part. This is what that means. Oh, the song is about American gun violence. There's a ghost that appears in the video. But none of that is the actual song. That's just what people perceive from the video. They kind of see what they want to see. And then the boy actually takes down the original song and he makes a new song that's called Just Listen to the Song. Of course, the second song doesn't do that well. It kind of flops online. Everybody just goes back to whatever they're doing, right? They move on to something else. So after all that, the boy deletes his channel, and then he actually sees the girl again, the one that he originally wrote the song for, and she's able to tell him the meaning of the song. She understands the lyrics, and she can see what he was writing about. She actually listened to the song. Just Listen to the Song is great, you should totally read it, but this is the most obvious metaphor out there, guys, for exactly how Fujimoto feels. Just listen, let the man cook. He's making something good all the time. Let him do his thing. That's all he wants to do. So I think that's the most obvious hint. But there's one other thing that's a little bit harder to see, and I think it's kind of the smoking gun too. As part 2 of Chainsaw Man has gone on, there's been a kind of decline in the art style. Characters are drawn a little bit rougher, there's less shadows, there's less details. Some characters are actually missing certain features, like he just forgets to draw them or he's just going too fast, you know? Honestly, it's amazing this change isn't more common. The workload that manga authors have to make a new chapter every single week, it's absolutely insane. And I'll actually make a video on that another time too. But the thing is, Fujimoto was able to handle this workload for years when he was writing the first part of Chainsaw Man and while he was writing part 2 as well. The decline only started maybe halfway through part 2. So why is it only changing now? I think the answer is in an interview that Fujimoto did back in July of 2023. Do you, Fujimoto, truly believe there is such retirement for creators? Fujimoto, I'm not sure about that, but Oshinoko's writer Aka Akasaka himself did declare, I won't draw this. I thought, must be so nice. I want to do that too. Interviewer, Do you, Fujimoto-san, ever have any thoughts like, I want to focus on writing stories? Fujimoto, yes, that would definitely be more fun. In the whole context of the interview, this is kind of a throwaway line, but this is the smoking gun right here. Fujimoto is getting tired of drawing. I don't think he's at the point where he's completely burned out, but I think he is getting there sooner rather than later. And that's why the art style has declined. He's taking these shortcuts so that he can produce chapters without completely burning out. He just said himself he just wants to focus on making the story, which is actually what he already did in Just Listen to the Song, which was actually illustrated by somebody else. So right there in black and white, Fuji wants to change from being an all-in-one artist and writer to just a writer. And I completely understand that. Finishing pages like this every day for 8 years is a colossal undertaking. Okay, let's gather all this up. Do you like this? Isn't this neat how I lay it all out? Wow, fancy. At the end of the day, Fuji's gonna do what he wants. He wants people to listen, but he wants them to let him cook as well. He knows that he's going against the grain. He knows he's changing things that people might not like, but he's still gonna do what he wants to do. Cause otherwise, what's the point, you know? He's not just a shonen writer or a seinen writer. He writes what he wants. And he does care what people think, but he's still gonna do his own thing. And that is admirable no matter what you do. It's okay to dig in, it's okay to speculate, but sometimes, just listen to the song. Thank you so much for watching. I have another video where I talk about how people turn into plants in this really cool manga. If you like Chainsaw Man, you'll probably like that. You can also check out my Patreon, patreon.com/sriracha, link below. Thank you. See you later. Segway, segway.